Hi guys, you're welcome to Halogenious Ideas. In this video, we are going to be creating a web page, a contact page using HTML and CSS only. So this is what the page is going to be looking like. So you can see the contact form, the partner logos, you can see this section over here. You can add the company's location to this area, but I'm going to be using my university's location for now. You can add whatever you want at this point. So you can see the footer, the quick links, the social media links, and you can see the services. You can add whatever you want. You can see the subscription form. So another thing you should know about this page is that it is mobile responsive. If you should click on the Control Shift I on your web browser. So I'm on Chrome. You can use whatever web browser you want. So for Chrome, I know it's Control Shift I. So this is a very big screen, 1598 by 729. So if you scroll down, you see what the page is looking like on this very big screen. So if I should start shrinking the page, so to tell you that the page is mobile responsive, so you see what I'm getting. You see what I'm getting on a smaller screen. So this is what you get. Then if I should make the screen smaller, you can see the page is not, the website is still more responsive. So if I make the website smaller, you can see the page is still intact. So this is what we are going to be working on. Make sure you stay till the end. So I'm going to be using Visual Studio Code. I'm going to be using Visual Studio Code. Whatever text editor is totally fine. If you want to know how to install Visual Studio Code, we have videos on the channel that can help you. So we have them over here. If you come to videos, you need to understand HTML before you'll be able to take this course. I hope that you wanting to take this particular video, you understand HTML. So that is the course over there. For you to install Visual Studio Code on your Mac, on your Windows, if you want to follow this course using your mobile phone, you can see the guide for installing the text editor for Android, then the text editor for iOS. So let's get started with it. The first thing I want to do is to come to my VS Code. The folder where I'm going to be working is up and running, so I can just say main.html. Then I'll create another file and call it main.css. So let me close this one. I'm going to be having this one by the side. So this is my HTML file, this is my CSS file. So um, bring up my HTML structure. So this is my HTML structure, Alt Z, then come here, link my CSS file. So link CSS. Okay, this is a VS Code shortcut. So I have a luxury of that. Then main.css. Okay. So I've explained this in many videos before now. So this is basically the path to where I have my CSS file. I believe you understand by that by now. So let me save this, then let me close my live server, then open it again. Live server is an extension for VS Code that makes development way easier for you, because when you're on your live server, every time you make changes and you commit the changes, you save the changes, it will reload the web browser for you automatically. So go live. Okay, so you can see the empty document I'm using. I don't need this anymore. So you can see the empty document I'm working on. This is the empty document over here. So come back to VS Code. I can decide to make this one smaller so that everything I'm doing, I'll see the result on the web page. Okay. So I want us to start with this header over here. This header over here. This is what we're going to be starting with. So you can see that I have an image over here. I have the navigation bar over here. Then I have a link over here. So all these navigation bars, they are not links, they are just list items for now. So I believe that on your end, when you want to do the project, you can add the links by yourself. So I have an image, I have the navigation bar, then I have the button over here. So let's get started with that. Let me see the header section. The header section. So this header section now, I'm going to be having a header. No, I'm going to be having a header. Then the class of the header will be section. Then inside the header, I'm going to be having a div with the class of header. This is a VS Code shortcut, so you get used to it. The more you use VS Code, actually, you get used to it. So the class is header. Then I can bring in my image img. So I've downloaded my logo already. So this is my logo over here, logo.png. With the help of VS Code, anytime I have to bring in a file like that, I can just use this terminal command, and VS Code will automatically recognize that I'm looking for a file. So it will bring this up. All these files, they are in the same path. They're in the same directory as the HTML file. So it will just bring everything up for me. So I have my logo. Then this will be the primary logo. All these alternative text, many people used to ignore them, but they are good for search engine optimization. So then I'll bring in my unordered list. So this unordered list, I'm going to be having 5 list items. So the first one I'm going to be having is home. The second one I'm going to be having is about. The third one is services. The fourth one is blog, and the fifth one is contacts. Okay, so then after this, I'm going to be having the link. So this link, for now, I'm not going to be pointing it anywhere. Then I'll just get quotes. Okay, so if I should save this, you can see what I have on the screen now. This is what I have on the screen now. This is just what I have for now. So let us start styling it. For us to style it, the first thing I do every time I want to create a styling like this, I first of all neutralize all the margins and the padding. So the margin will be 0. For I'm using the universal selector now. Padding is 0. Basically, the universal selector selects all the elements in the HTML document. So I have box sizing rather, box box sizing, then border box. Okay, so now before moving further, I'm going to be using this section class a lot. So I want to create a generic section class. Generic section class. Okay, so this generic section class, I'm going to be having something like dot section. So this section, I'm going to be ensuring that the width is 100% because I want it to span the whole screen. So the background color is going to be black. So I don't want to be using words. I want to be using. So this is going to be black. 0000. Yes, this is black. So then I can do the font family. Maybe let me just look for. Let me use this one. So this is my generic section. You can see what I have at this moment. The background is black, and if you take a good look at what I have as the text color, the color of my list items, they are all black. So the background black is swallowing it up. But don't worry, we will reveal it just in a moment. So now let us start the header styling per se. So the header styling. Now to style this header now, what do we want to do? I can actually increase the size of this one. Okay, so uh, I need to make this thing like this. Okay, so I want to select this particular element, this inner div. Don't forget that this header over here is the section, is the outer div with the width of 100%. So this inner div now, I want to make it smaller, like 80%, or I'll just assign a max width to it. So dot header, I can do something like the maximum width will be 1200 pixels, don't forget. So after that, I'm going to be doing margin. The top and bottom will be 0, the left and right will be auto, so you can centralize it for me. Then I'm going to be having a padding top and bottom. I want it to be 30 pixels. Then padding left and right will be 0. Then I want the display to be flex. As you can see, I have the image, I have the unordered list, and I also have this link item over here. So I want the display to be flex. I explained display flex in the CSS course, so you can just check it out. Display flex. Then I want to justify the content space between. I want to justify the content space between. Then align items center. Okay. So if I should save this, you will see what I have at the moment. You can see what I have at the moment. So I think I have to. Okay, you can see what I have at the moment. So you can see what this is everything I have at the moment. The all the items, they are all justified, and if I should zoom out a bit, you can see it is not spanning 100% anymore because I've constrained it to a maximum of 1200, and I centralized it by doing margin left and margin right. So let us proceed. Let us proceed. So I want to select my logo now. This logo over here. Let me style the logo. For me to style that logo, I can do something like dot header, which is the parent image. Then I'll select the descendant image. So this descendant image, I want the height to be 70 pixels. If I save this, you can see the height is controlled now. The height is 70 pixels. So I think I'm done with the logo for now. Let me start styling this unordered list over here, which is the navigation menu basically. So the next thing I want to do is to do something like header, then selecting the child unordered list. So what I want to do for now is list style type of none. So list style type of none. Now I want to work on the list item itself. I want to work on the list item itself, so I can just copy this. Then the list item itself. The list item. Okay. So this list item now, I want it to display inline. Let me change the color first. The color, so it can be visible. 00000. Okay, this is white. If I should save this for now, and I click this one, it's supposed to be white. No, this is black rather. It confuses me. Okay, you can see now that I've saved it, you can see it is white. So I want to display it inline. If I display it inline, you can see what I have now. It is no longer displaying as block. So displaying inline, the color is white. I can do something like margin of say 10 pixels. Then let me save this. You can see the margin now, it is spacing it. I want to add a padding of 0. Padding top and bottom will be 0, then padding left and right will be 15 pixels. So if I should save this, you can see it is giving it more space now. I want the font size to be 1 rem. Then I want the font size to be 1 rem. I think I want the cursor to be pointer. Yes, I want the cursor to be pointer. So if I should save this, you can see what I have now. It is coming to shape. You can see what I have. But if you notice very well here, when you hover over the list items, it's going to be giving you this color, this other color over there. So but this one, if you hover over this one, it's not giving you anything yet. It's not giving anything. So how do we fix that? I can do something like this. Copy. Then I'm going to be using the hover state. The hover state is a pseudo class. So this hover, I can do something like color equal to f0 350C. If I save this and I hover on it, you can see that it is working now, but it is not giving me that smooth transition. So transition, I can do something like 0.25 seconds. That will be the transition time, and I want it to ease. Save this, and you can see it is not giving me that transition. It is giving me that transition. Okay, so that will be all about the navigation bar. Now we move on to style this button over here. This button over here. So for us to style that particular button, what we have to do is to do something like this dot header. So we select the child, the link. So this link now, what do we want it to be? I can do something like the first thing I want is to remove the underline. So text decoration none, text decoration none. So after text decoration none, I want the color to be white. So that will be FFF. So after color is white, then the background color, I want the background color to be this other color that I have here. Then after that one, what else do I want? I want the border radius to be 4 pixels. If I save this first, so you see what I have at the moment. This is what I have at the moment. If the with the border color and the, okay, it shouldn't be border, it should be border radius. But this border radius, you won't feel the effect like that. Okay, you can see the rounded corners now. That rounded corners, I want to add a padding of 12 pixels top and bottom, then 16 pixels left and right. Save this, you can see top and bottom 12 pixels, left and right 16 pixels. So I want the font size to be 1.25 rem. If I save this, you can see what I have. Then I want the cursor to be pointer. Okay, so you can see what I have now. So you can see the what we are trying to follow, and you can see this other one over here. You can see what we're trying to follow on this other one. So if I hover over it, it's working fine. So that is the header for you, but this header is not mobile responsive. If you come to Ctrl Shift I, you can see how rickety the header is looking on mobile. So, and that is not what we want. So it is not looking nice. So what we can do, Ctrl O. So this is the so basically these are for screens that are lesser than 1200. It is going to be assuming the 100%, the maximum width. But if it is greater than 1200, according to what we set the max width to, it will just be taking 1200. So to make it responsive, we are going to be writing media queries. We are going to be writing media queries. So all the media queries that we are going to be writing, we are going to be writing one for 767 pixels. So let us start with that. So let me say um, mobile styling. Okay, so for this mobile styling now, we are going to be saying at media. I explained media queries in the CSS course, so please you can check it out. So you're going to be saying at media, then screen, and then you come and write the rule that max width should be 767 pixels. So any style that we write inside here now will apply only to screens with a maximum of 767 pixels. So what do we want to do? This header first. That header, I want the flex direction to be column. If I save this, you can see that on screens above 767, it is just taking the normal flex direction of row. But if I should shrink this thing now, you can see now that it is below 767. below 767, you can see that the flex direction is now column. So it is gradually taking shape in the mobile. I want to justify the content to center, unlike what I did initially, which is space between, and align items center. Okay, then after this one, now I want you to give it a gap of 50 pixels. So this is what I have for now. You can see the space in there. Okay, so after this one, now the unordered list dot header, then ul. What do I want to do? I want to display it as flex. After displaying as flex, I will justify the content to center, then align the items to center, but I must flex wrap. So it will wrap the items, then reduce the gap from 50 pixels to reduce the gap to, okay, it's just giving it the gap. Actually, you're not reducing the gap, there's no gap there initially. So I think that this is all the media, these are the media queries that we have to write, just this one for the mobile view. So if you come here, so this is displaying as flex. Okay, so if I should shrink it, you can see the way it is coming together. You can see even on the screen 169 pixels, the site is not throwing up. So we are done with the header. For, you can see everything is just perfect. Everything is just perfect. If you shrink it, it is working fine. Okay, so let us go to the second one, which is this one. Let us go to this one. So this hero, we're going to be having a div outside, then we are going to be having this contact us h1 over here. So let us get into it. The first thing we want to do is to write the HTML, then we'll come back to write the CSS. So while we are writing the HTML, I'm going to collapse this one. So this will be the hero section. So this hero section now, this hero section, so I'm going to be having section dot hero. So don't forget that I wrote the section while I was writing this other one over here, so it will automatically take the styling, all the styling over here, it will automatically take it, but I'm going to be making some adjustments using this hero class over here. So I just have to put an h1 element over here that says contact us. So that h1 element is going to be saying contact us. Let me save it so we see what we have at the moment. You're not going to be seeing anything because obviously the color is black. The color is black, so you're not going to be seeing anything. So let us start styling it. So this is the hero styling. The hero styling. Okay. Now the hero styling. I'm trying to check my notes. Okay. So this hero over here, I'm going to be targeting it dot hero. Then the first thing I want to do is to give it a height of 400 pixels. I'm giving it a height of 400 pixels. So if I should save this and you come back here, you can see it is way bigger than it used to be. So after that, I'm giving it a background image. So background image, so it's going to be taking a URL. So the path to my background image, let me make this thing more visible. The path to my background image, so this is the hero image over here. I've downloaded it before now. Then we are having background position. I don't mind doing center, but well, let's leave it as center for now. Then actually I used the bottom in the other one, so Let me use bottom here. Then I'm going to be doing something like background repeats, no repeats, no repeats. Then background size, then cover. So if I should save this for now, let me see what I'm going to be getting. You can see what I have. This is what I have for now. Then this is the contact us h1 element. So for me to center this particular element, this contact us h1 element, I can use flexbox. I can do something like display flex. Then after displaying flex, I want you to justify the content to center. Then after justifying center, align content, align items rather to center. Okay, if I should save this, you can see the contact us is now in the middle over here. You can see. So now let me select the h1 element itself. Let me select the h1 element and style it. So I'm going to be doing something like dot hero, then the descendant that is an h1. What do I want to do to this h1 now? I want the color to be white first. Color, I need it to be white. That will be FFF. Then I want the text decoration to be underlined. Text decoration, I want it to be underlined. If you remember what we did over here, so the text decoration by default is underlined, we change it to none. This one by default it is none, so we change it to underline. So text decoration underline. Then the next thing I want to do, I want to give it a padding of maybe 20 pixels, although it's not needed. Let me take it out for now. Then I can increase the font size to something like 2.5 rem. Let me save this first. Come here, you can see what I have over here now. This is the contact us but text. So I want to align the text center. Text align center. So when it gets to the mobile view and it wants to wrap this particular word now, us when it comes to the next line, it will stay in the center. So that is why I'm putting that text align center. So for the media queries, I don't think we need any media queries for this one. I don't think we need any media queries. Okay, let's see what it looks like on mobile. So if I should shrink it, you can see what I have over here. Because I used text align center, that is the reason why this us is in the center. So it is still mobile responsive. And okay, so we can move on to the next one. So this is the next one over here, this section over here, this section. So you can see that we have two images, we have all this text over here. So I'm going to be using a grid container. So the grid container, what I used over here is flexbox. I also use the flexbox here to center this contact us text. But for this one, you can see that I'm having a two column layout. This is one column, this is another column. So I can just use the grid container to create this layout. So let us get into it. So I'm done with the hero section now. The next one I want to work on is I think I gave it a special name, image form. Yes, image form. So for this image form, this is where we are going to be checking our own. So for this image form, I'm going to be having a section. So it's going to be having a class of section, and it's going to be having another class of image form. So, and inside that class we are going to be having a grid container. as a web developer, you need to look for ways that will make your work faster. So using VS Code, I've learned a good number of all the shortcuts that can make me type a lot more with a lot less. So this is the grid container. Now my grid container, if you come back here, I'm going to be having in the grid container, I'm going to be having this container and this other container. So I'll come here and I will create a div and I'll call it the image overlap. So this image overlap is going to be consisting of two images, this image and this image. So I can just do img, then I think this is image from, I think I used 2 and 3. So this alternate text, I can say image 1. Then I'm going to be adding another image, img. Then for this one, image from 3. Then image 2. Okay. So that will be, let me save this one for now and let's see what we have. So you can see what I have for now. This is what I have for now. The reason why you are seeing all this black is because the section by default, the background is black according to what we did here. So come back here, then let me write the HTML for the other, for this other one now, for this other one. So if you take a good look at this one, I think I'll be using a span tag or a paragraph tag here. I'm going to be using an h2 here. Then so this is the image overlap. Let me close this one so I'll know the right place to put the new div. So this is going to be div dot contact form, contact form, the contact form. Okay, so for this contact form now, I'm going to be using a span tag. So this span tag is going to be saying solution for you. So the next thing is to use an h2 to say get a free consultation. Okay, then after this one, I'm going to be creating my form. So whether it should be a post method actually, but we are not dealing with server-side programming here, so it doesn't make any much difference. Now if you come and take a good look at what I have over here now, I'm having two of this on the same line, then I'm having this one occupying the whole line, this occupying the whole line. So I'm going to be using a grid container to split this just the same way I split the whole section. So I'm going to be using a grid container to split this. So I'll be creating a 2-column layout. This will be inside one column, this will be in another column. So a grid container. So come back here, then I'll do something like a div. Then inside this div, I'm going to be having inputs of the type text, and this input of the type text will be, the name is going to be full name. So this one, name. So this will be the input for name, and the placeholder, if you look at the placeholder, enter full name. So don't forget the placeholder, so enter full name. Okay, so after that I'm going to be entering the one for email. So let me just copy this, and so this one will be for email. The type is going to be email, so this is going to be email, then the ID is going to be email as well. So but the placeholder is going to be enter email address. So this will be enter email address. Okay, so now we can start adding the HTML element for subject, what question is, blah blah blah, and the send message. So moving on, I'll come back here. I'm going to be having the inputs of the type text, VS Code shortcut. So the name is going to be subject. I also like to make the ID to be subject. Okay, Then the placeholder is just going to be subject straight away. It's going to be subject. So now let's add, I think the next one is the text area. So come here, add the text area. So for this text area, the name is going to be message, then the ID is going to be message, then the placeholder is going to be what questions do you have. I don't need this. So placeholder is going to be what questions do you have. what what questions do you have. There should be a question mark. Then just before the end of the form, we are going to be having the input of type submit. The value is going to be send message. Okay, so if I should save this, you're going to be seeing a whole lot of gibberish on the page. So you can see the form that we created, and I think if I highlight, I'm going to be seeing the solution for you. The reason why you are seeing all these things like this, that it's not displaying the text until I highlight them, is because, like I said, the background is black, so it is swallowing it up. So I'm in the background of the section. So come back here. Now let us start styling it. Let us start styling it. Let me close this. Okay. To start styling them, okay, this is hero. Then this should be image form. So for image form, I'm going to be selecting this image form. I mean this one, this image form now is the first thing I want to select. So dot image form, and the background color is going to be white. Save this. So that is the first thing I want to do. That's the first thing I want to do. The image from the background is going to be white. So this grid container over here, I want to select it. So dot grid container. So that grid container, I'm going to be making sure that the max width is 1200. It has to be uniform throughout the whole page. So the max width is 1200. The margin will be 0, then auto. Don't forget, the left and right will be auto, so that it will be centralized. So the margin top and bottom will be 0. So the padding, I want to give it a padding top and bottom of 100 pixels, then left and right of 0. Then let me save this first. Let me save this first. So you can see what I have now. You see what I have now. The reason why it is shrinking, it is bringing this image, it is wrapping it towards the base, is because there's no space to contain it by the side, and you know that the image is an inline element, so naturally it will have it by the side, but since the space is not occupying it anymore, it just brought it downstairs. So the padding is 100 pixels 0. Then now the grid container, making it a grid container, display grid. Then after displaying as grid, the next thing you want to do after displaying as grid is to give it grid template columns of 1fr 1fr. Don't forget, it's a 2 column layout, so it's a 2 column layout. Now you can see what I have over here now. Because it's a 2 column layout, this image and this image over here, both of them are in the 1 column. This and the form, they are in another column. That is the reason why it is bringing this one by the side. Okay, before we move on from this one, I want the gap to be 50 pixels. So you will see the spacing exactly. You can see this spacing over here. If I should remove that gap, let me remove the gap and save it. You can see the gap is no longer there, but because I'm adding the gap, I can save it. You can see. So that is where the that is all about the grid container for now. So the next thing I want to do, this image overlap, I want to select this image overlap. So one thing I can do is to select the grid container, then I'm going to be selecting a child whose class is image overlap. So this image overlap, I'm going to be giving it a height of, say, let me do 500 pixels. Then position is going to be relative. Position is going to be relative. So for now, you won't see anything apart from the fact that the height is supposed to be 500 pixels, but the image is stretching, is like overflowing it. So now, um, to the interesting part, the image itself. So let me select the descendant that is an image. I can say the width should be 60% of the container. So you can see what I have now. The width is 60% of the container, so automatically it's going to be adjusting itself for the height. Then I can set the height to 350 pixels. If I should save this, you can see that now the image is distorted, both of them. The images, both of them are distorted. So how can I find a solution around this? So to save my design, I will do object fit cover, then object position center, save. So if you come back to see what it looks like, you will see now that the images is not distorted, but we have to sacrifice some part of the image that we don't want. And if you take a good look at the two of them, the both of them now have equal width and equal height. If you come here and you check the both of the two images, the width and the height, they are the same for both of them, only that they are overlapping each other, and one is coming from the top left, the other one is coming from the bottom right. So come back here, then now we are going to be using a pseudo class here again. We're going to be using a pseudo class here again, but I'm going to be starting from, let me just copy. Okay, so I've given a general styling for the images. Now I want to give some styling that is peculiar to this first one over here. So I'm going to be selecting it using the nth child one, or I can use first child, but I'm going to be using nth child one. So nth child of one. Then I can say the position is absolute. Then I'll say the top is 0 and the left is 0. So if I save this, you can see what I have over here now. The top is 0 and the left is 0. Now let me add for the second image. Copy this one. So the styling for the second image, this will be 2, but this one will be bottom, then this one will be right. Save this. So you can see that the images are now overlapping each other, just like we have here. The images is overlapping each other now, just like we have here. So you can see. So come back here. Let's start styling this other part. So for me to select this one over here, this one over here, which is this solution for you, I can do something like grid container. Then I can select the child that is the contact form as per this div over here. No, Z. So as per this div over here. So I'm going to be selecting the child that is the span. So this child that is the span, I can do something like color equal to my mystery color. If I should save this, you can see the color, it has changed. The color has changed. The font size of one rem, save it. So I think that is the default font size. Text transformation, uppercase. If I save this, you can see the text transformation uppercase, then the text decoration underline. Text decoration underline. So you save it, you can see the text decoration underline is working now. The next thing I want to select is the H2, this H2, this other one, and this get a free consultation. This is the H2 over here, this is the H2 over here. So how do we select that? I can just copy the whole of this one, then come here, this span over here, I'm going to be using H2. So for this H2, I'm going to be doing something like font size of, how many font size? Say 2.5 rem. Save it. You can see the font size 2.5 rem, it is affected. So after the font size of 2.5 rem, I can do something like margin of 25 pixels, then 0. Margin top and bottom will be 25 pixels. I want to give it a spacing between this span and the H2, then between the H2 and this other one. So I'm giving it a margin to create that space. So I can also use a padding here. The padding will create the effect as well, but padding is not the proper thing to use here. The proper thing to use here is the margin, because I just want to create space between the current element and the preceding element, then the next element too. So 25 pixels, 0. Then the color is going to be this, let me say 182430. Save it, and you can see my spacing between this just like I have it over here. You can see solutions for you, then the spacing. Now let us work on this form over here. Now working on this form, working on the form. Now let us work on this form over here. So working on the form, come back. Okay, so the form itself, I'm going to be adding a maximum width to the form. I'm going to be adding a maximum width to the form. So copy the whole of this, copy the whole of this, then I'll add a form. Then this form, I'm going to be doing a max width of 400 pixels. So if I should save this, you come back, you can see the form, it is like compressing it. Let me remove it first, let me be sure. If I should remove it and I save it, you can see that the form is everywhere, but because of this property, the form is like, you can see. So the 400 pixels, then for this, don't forget that this full name and email address, both of them are supposed to, I'm supposed to have like a 2 column layout. So let me create that 2 column layout using the grid. So I can come here, this form, select this one first, then this form, then the div that is inside the form. That div that is inside the form, what do I want you to do for me? I want you to display it as a grid. Then after displaying grid, what you will do for me is that the grid template columns is going to be 1fr, 1fr, then create a gap of 10 pixels, just 10 pixels, nothing much. If I should save this, you will see, you can see the gap of 10 pixels, it is between them. So it is coming into shape. Then I can add a margin bottom of 0 to that input to this particular input, these two input, I'll add a margin bottom of 0 because normally I'll still be adding more margins to it. I don't want this one to add its own margin to it. So come here, div, select the input, then margin bottom of 0. So moving on, now I want to work on this text area, over here. I want to work on that text area. So I want the height to be 150 pixels, that text area. I think I have to copy from here, text area. So for this text area, I want the height to be 150 pixels. So if I should save this and you come here, you can see that the height is 150 pixels, but you'll be able to adjust the size of the horizontal and vertical, but I don't want you to be able to do all that. So I can just come here and say resize is none, resize none. So save this and the user will not be able to resize it. You can see the resize, this thing is gone. It's just 150 pixels straight away. So moving on, now this form input and the text area, okay, but I'm still going to copy the, but this one will be inputs. I'm using the grouping selector here. If you remember your grouping selector, using this comma, so you can just check the CSS course. I explained everything there in details. So I can display it as block. So I want it to display as block. If I should come back, you can see that everything is displaying as block first. After displaying as block, I want the width to be 100%. I want the width to be 100%. You can see now that everything is occupying all the 100% of the maximum width, which is 400 pixels. So now that everything is occupying 100%, I might decide to add the margin. So that margin will be 10 pixels 0. Margin top and bottom text 10 pixels. Margin left and right to be 0. So come here, you can see this is the reason why I had to add my margin bottom to this one and this one. Margin bottom of 0. I had to add margin bottom of 0 to these other ones. The reason is because now that I've added a margin of 10 pixels to all the inputs and the text area, it is going to be adding the margin bottom that is generated from that particular div, which is not what I want. So this is way better. So the form is coming into shape. The form is coming into shape. The form is coming into shape. So then after this one, I want to add another thing to it. I can do something like border. I want to give it a border of 1 pixels. I want to make the border to be solid. Then the color is going to be F6D ACE. Save this. So if you come back here, you can see the border. You can see the border. You can see that border. So okay, I'm supposed to use this one. So it is going to cover all the descendants. Yes, it's going to be covering all the descendants. So after that border, I want the outline to be 0. Now if you come and click on any of the inputs, now you can see me clicking on this one. You can see me clicking on them. You see that black border that is giving me. I don't want it. This is not a 1980 website we are trying to build. So just set the outline to 0. So, or outline none rather. I think outline none does it. Yes, outline none. So if I come here, it's not giving me that outline anymore. So come back to VS Code. So I'm going to be adding a padding to create a space inside the input element itself. So the padding is going to be 12 pixels top and bottom, then 20 pixels left and right. Then I want the background color. You can see that by default the background color of the form input is white, but I want it to be F4, F4, F4. Then the font size, when they are filling the form, the font size I want to see is font size of 1 rem. So save this, come back and see. You can see what it looks like now. You can see what it looks like. So for the submit button, all I have to do is to select the contact form, but the input is going to be submit. So input where type equal to submit. Okay, so I can use the descendant selector here. So this descendant selector, I can do something like the background color should be this my orange, then the color should be white, then the border should be none. Save this, save this. So you can see now we can actually add a hover state to it, just to create that feeling. Just hover, hover. This one, just make it a bit dark. Take this ones out. Then add a transition 0.25 seconds. Then ease the transition, save it, and come back. You see when I hover over it, so it gives me that feeling. And I want the cursor to be pointer when I hover over it. Cursor pointer. Save. You can see cursor pointer. So I'm making a mistake somewhere with this one. Okay, I think it's the margin right. So set the margin right to be 0. Margin right is supposed to be 0 from here. Okay, let me bring this style in. Let me bring it forward. So this one is going to be margin right. Save the. Now let's go ahead to make it mobile responsive. So this is my grid container, Alt Z for the button, for this button over here, the hover style. So well, let's go ahead to make it mobile responsive. So we are going to be writing the media queries now. So now that it is around 1200, I don't like the way this thing is occupying the whole screen like this. So I'm going to be giving it some spacing. So I'm going to be writing a new media query, and the media query is going to be for maximum screen 1200. Okay, so I'm going to be writing that one on top of this one. So that will be 1200 pixels. Now I'm going to be styling the image form. So that image form, I'm going to be taking this particular class over here, this image form class over here, which is the class that is wrapping the whole section. I'm going to be making, I'm going to be giving it a width of 90%. Then, no, I'm supposed to dot image form, then the width is going to be 90%, then margin is going to be 0 auto. So save this. Let me go live. Okay. That will be main.html. Yes, this one. So Control Shift I. Okay, you can see now because the screen, because the width is initially it used to be 100%. It used to be 100% the image form, but because um, the width is going below 1200, so it will be, you can see it's changing. You can see it changing. So that is the first thing that we're going to be doing. Then I'm going to be changing the grid container. I'm going to be changing the grid container a bit. So that will be all for this particular media query. I'll come back here. So let me label this thing properly. This one is for the header. So image form. Okay. So come down and tell the grid container. Yes, the grid container. Now this particular grid container, I'm going to be, if you look at the default that I have over here, this grid container. Here's the grid container. Mm, this is the grid container over here. Now I'm displaying it as grid, and the grid template column is 1 fr, then the gap is 50 pixels. Now what is the effect? I'm having a two column layout over here. You understand? So basically, if it gets down, you can see how ugly it is still looking in the two column layout. So what I want to do is, when the screen gets below 767, I want it to convert to a one column layout. That is what I want to do when the screen goes below 767. So come back here. Now I'm going to the 767, this grid container west, you can see 767. So I'm going to be doing something like the grid template column is going to be 1 fr, which is a one column layout. Then I can do something like a gap of 50 pixels. So if I should save this and I come back here, now if I should shrink this thing, you can see what I'm having now. When it goes below 767, you can see what I'm having now. You can see what I'm having now. You can see. Now let me come back. That is the grid container. So I also want to make some changes to this form that I have over here. You can see that on this screen I don't like the way it is occupying only just one part. I don't like the way it is occupying only one part. So what I want to do is that this particular form, I'm going to make the width 100%. I'm going to make the width 100%, actually the max width. So that will be the grid container. Then it has a child contact form. Then this also has a child, which is the form itself, and that form, the maximum width, I want to make it 100%. So you can see the form now. You can see the form now. You can see the form 100%. So it is looking way better now. It is looking way better now. So um, I think so. Okay, if I should shrink this further, I'm going to encounter some problems. For example, if I should shrink it further, you can see, even if I can manage the form, I might be able to manage the form even though I won't want to. But this image is the way it is like this. I don't like it. I don't like it. So I'm going to be writing another media query. I'm going to be starting that particular media query afresh. So this particular media query is for 767. Then I'll start another one. The media query will be when the screen goes below 480 pixels. When the screen goes below 480 pixels. So I'm going to be selecting the grid container. This grid container now, I'm going to be selecting the image overlap. So if you remember this image overlap that is over here, this image overlap where I have the two images, if you remember the styling that we used. So the first thing I want to do is to make the position to be just relative the way it was initially, but the image itself is what I'm going to be working on. So I can copy this. Actually, we can make this one static, but we leave it as relative. I think relative is what will work. So I'll paste this one. So select the image, the img. Then I want the width to be 100%. If you remember, here the width is 60%. The image overlay, yes, exactly. So it should be, so you can see the width is 60% and the height is 350 pixels. Then I came here to do some individual styling. For the first one, I fixed it from the top left. The second one, the bottom right, which is, you can see this one now, the top left, while this one is the bottom right. But now I want to make the two of them overlap each other. Actually, I want this front one to come in front while this one would be at the back. So I don't want the two images displaying. I just need one of them on mobile view. So come back here. So now that the width is 100%, if I save this one first, you can see what I have. The width is 100%. You can see the width is 100%. So normally what I would want to do is that this image at the back, I might want to shift it a bit to the top, but I'll just leave it like that for now. So for this one, the image is, so I can increase the image, um, I can increase the height of the image to 400 pixels. So save this one, come back. So I think I like it like this. I'll just leave it like that. 400 pixels. Don't forget your object fit. Object fit. The object fit will be cover. Then the object position will be center. Okay. So now the most important part is that the position is going to be static. Okay, it's going to be static. So if I should save this, now everything is back in shape. Everything is back in shape, apart from this particular form over here. So the only problem I have with this with the form is that this particular, the div that is responsible for this full name and email address field, if you remember very well, it is a grid column. It's a grid column. So what I want to do is to make it a one column layout. It used to be two, but for this 480 pixels, I want it to be a one column layout. So how can I achieve that? I'll come here, my grid container. So this grid container now, I'll select the contact form. Then after selecting the contact form, I'll select the form. Then after selecting the form, I'll select the div. Then the grid template column is going to be 1FR. That is the one column layout. Then the gap is going to be 0 pixels. If I should save this and I come back here, you can see what I have over here now. The full name, the email, the subject, and the message. Everything is intact. So that will be all for this particular section. So if I want to stretch everything out, you can see it is working fine. Then if I collapse it, so it is still intact. So let's continue. Oh, another thing that we might actually do is to hide this image at the back. To hide this image at the back. And how can we hide the image? We can hide the image by doing something like this. You can hide the image by nth child, which is 2, display none. So I have only one. So come here. Okay, I think it's the one that is in front that I want to display. So let me hide the first one. Okay, this is the one I would like to display. This is the one I would like to display. So you can see what is here now. So I think I'm good to go with that now. Moving forward, let's go on to create the next session. So the next section is the section where we have the partner logos. The next section is the section where we have the partner logos. So let me go out of this form. So this partner logos over here, this partner logos. So come back to my VS Code. So the partner logos. So this partner logos now, I'm going to be having a section. Now that section will have a class of section, and it's going to be having the class of partner logos. Okay, it's going to be having a partner logos. So now I'm going to be having another div inside that is going to be a flex container. Okay, going to be a flex container. So this flex container now, I'm going to be having my 5 images inside. So I'm going to be having an image, but I'm having 4 images rather. So for this one, just logo one. Then this one is going to be partner logo. Let me increase the size of my, so partner logo. Alt Z. So for this second one, this is going to be logo 2. So this is also going to be partner logos. Let me copy this one and paste it here. So this is going to be logo 3. Then also partner logos. Then for the last one, this is going to be logo 4, which is also partner logos. Okay, so save this one. If I should save it and I come back here, you see what I have. You can see how bloated my web page is. Can see how bloated my web page is. So I got the images online, but I guess I have to start refactoring them now. So let's start working on them. Now this is the whole section of the partner logos. We start styling them. So I want to bring it to your notice that if you know how to use your flexbox very well, you may write your flexbox in such a way that you won't have to write media queries to make it responsive. You will not have to write media queries to make it responsive. As soon as you start collapsing it, it will just by itself just stay responsive. There's no better way to put it. So that is what I'm going to be doing here with these partner logos. I'm going to be writing my flexbox in a way that I won't have to write the media queries for it. Like I won't have to create a mobile styling for it. So the partner logos, it should be, yes, the partner logos. The partner logos. Now this partner logos, I'm going to be logos. If you take a good, if you are very observant here, you will notice that this one, the the background color is white. If you notice very well, for this one the background color is white. So for this one, the background color is black. It is just this one overflowing its own section, then flowing top towards the top. Let me, if you look at this thing now, it is having class section and partner logos, and this section by default the background color is black. So the image is too big, that is why it is overflowing top. If I come to partner logos now, normally I'm supposed to set the background color to FFF. If I should save this and I scroll down, you will see that these other partner logos that we have under here, you can see that these other partner logos that we have, they are all, the background color is now black. So we continue. Now this is where I want you to pay attention. Dot partner logos, then my flex container. This is where the magic is going to be happening. My flex container. Okay, so this flex container, now what is going to be happening, I can say the maximum width that I want is 1200 pixels. All fine and good. So the meaning of this maximum width 1200 is it can take any width. Just make sure that the width does not exceed 1200. So the margin is going to be 0 auto. So margin top and bottom will be 0, margin left and right will be auto. Then I'm going to be adding a padding of 20 pixels. Then I'm going to be adding 0. Yes. So margin top, padding top and padding bottom is going to be 20 pixels. Then padding left and right is going to be 0. Now here comes the flex. Display of flex. If I should save this, you can see that everything is now being displayed side by side. Everything is now being displayed side by side. If I should draw this one now, you can see that the display flex is what brought the images here. You can see how distorted the images are. Now, before writing the flex, let's actually correct these images. So let's, this flex container now, this flex container, let me target the image. Then I'll say the height should be 100 pixels. So this 100 pixels height now, you can see what I have now. The image is back in shape. All of them, the height of the image is 100 pixels. For all of them, the height is 100 pixels. So let's come back to the flex. So we will enjoy writing the flex now. So justify the content as space between. So actually I won't mind doing space around. So space around, then align items center. So then flex wrap. The flex wrap is going to be wrap. Then justify content. No, actually align contents. Align content is going to be center. Now let me save what I have. Now saving what I have now, you can see the partner logos now. If you come here, this is the partner logos, and if you come here, you can see the partner logos. You can see the partner logos. Now I think I'm supposed to have a gap there. The gap is supposed to be 20 pixels. Gap. Let me do a gap of 20 pixels. So do one notice it now. Now let me collapse this thing to show you what it will look like on mobile. So don't forget this is the desktop view. Now scroll down. If I start collapsing it, you see what you can see. It will just wrap on its own. You can see the way it's wrapping on its own. So even if I still wrap it down, you can see on its own it is just being responsive on its own. So that is how you can use your flex container to make your element, the layout responsive even without having to write the media query for it. So we are done with the partner logos. Now let's come to this particular section over here. For this particular section, which is the pre-footer, let me come here, then come and add another section, which is the footer. Okay, so this pre-footer now, I'm going to be having a section. Going to be having a section. The class is going to be section, and it's going to be having a class of before footer. Okay, so let me expand this HTML part. So the class is going to be before footer. So for the section, I'm going to be having an image. I don't need any inner container here because if you look at the design, if you look at the design, I want it to span through the whole screen. If you look at the design, I want it to overtake the whole screen. So come this one. Um, so this is the pre-footer image. I can just come here and say construction worker just for SEO sake. Then after this one, I'm going to be using an iframe. So this iframe, I can come to maps.google.com. I'll go to maps.google.com. So you can choose any address that you want, but I'll be using University of Lagos Unilag. So this is the University of Lagos. So University of First Choice and the nation's pride. You heard that from me. So share, then come to embed a map. So I don't want medium, I want the large size. So this large size, what I want you to do is to copy the HTML. This is the HTML over here, so just copy it. After copying it, you come to your VS Code and paste it here. So what you're going to be having is just this iframe and this image is what you're going to be having. So if I should save this, you come to the document, you see what you're going to be having here. This is the iframe here, and this is the picture. So let us go and write the CSS for it. So for this pre-footer now, for this pre-footer, come here. Actually, I'm supposed to have some spacing here. Supposed to have some spacing here. I think the spacing is supposed to be coming from this partner logos. There is something I'm not doing. So come here, the partner logos is supposed to have some spacing. So padding 20 0. Let me make this 40 0. Okay, I just want some spacing there. I just want some spacing there. Okay, so okay, I know where this is coming from. Let me return it back to 20. Okay, just follow me. Now let's start working on this other one over here. Um, partner logos, then before footer, before footer. So this before footer, what do we want to do? I can just come here and select this before footer that is here. This before footer, before footer. So this before footer. The first thing I want to do is that the margin top is going to be 100 pixels. So that is where the spacing is coming from. You can see that is where the spacing is coming from. So after having a margin top of 100 pixels, I want to display it as grid and give it a grid template column, make it a 2 column layout. So display as grid, then give it a template grid template column of 1 fr, then 1 fr. So Then I would do something like the height is going to be max content. The height is going to be max content. I want it to be very responsive. That is why I'm using the height of max content. So before footer, um, okay, I think I have my two column layouts now. You can see the two column layouts, one FR, then another one FR. So that is my two column layout now. Now let me start by styling the image. So I'll say dot before footer, then I'll target the image. Then this image, what do I want to do to it? I'll give it a width of 100%. So the space that it is getting, then I'll give it a height of 100 viewport height. So if I save this already, you can see what I'm having over here. The width is 100% and the height is 100 viewport height. So 100% won't mean the whole screen. Basically 100% will mean the whole space that the container is giving it, the whole space that is available. And don't forget, because the image is distorted, I'm going to be applying object fit cover, then the object position center. If I save this, you can see that the image is looking nicer now. It's looking nicer now. So now let me work on the iframe itself, this iframe that I'm getting from Google. Let me show you something first. Control Shift I. If you take a good look at this iframe that Google is giving me, this iframe has its own default styling. Where's the iframe? Yes, exactly, this is it. So this iframe has its own default styling that Google is giving me. If I come here, you can see the width and the height. But I don't like the way Google is the one that is controlling the width and the height. I want to be the one to control it. So I'm going to be using a CSS terminology here that we refer to as important. Important is something you can use to override one CSS that you wrote before. So before footer for the iframe, this one is before footer for the image. So before footer for the iframe, I'm going to be having instead of img, this will be iframe. So the height is going to be 100 viewport height. The reason why I'm using viewport height is because I want it to occupy the whole screen from top to bottom. That will be the height. Then I'm going to be adding, because of the default styling that Google is giving me here, I'm going to be adding importance. So it will override what Google is giving me. Then I also have the width, which is 100%. Then I'm going to be adding importance. Okay. So if I should save this, you see what I'm having now. It is looking. You can see the viewport height. This one too, the viewport height, and you can see it is not overflowing the screen. Let me close this. You can see what I'm having over here now. It is covering the whole viewport height. You can see the Google map, and you can see the construction worker, the image. So, but Control Shift I, if I'm having it on mobile, you can see it is not looking very nice. It is not looking very nice. It is not looking very nice. So let us come and work on it on mobile. So for mobile, for mobile, for this particular um, media query, before full so if it is below 1200 pixels, I don't want it to have a 100% viewport height. You understand? What I want it to have is for this one dot before footer, then the image. This image now, what I want it to have for the image, I also want a width of 100%. Then the height is going to be 650 pixels. Then don't forget that the object fit will be cover, then the object position will be center. Okay, so save this, and if I come, you can see that the screen is below 1200, so it is adjusting this image already. So now let me come and adjust the other one. So for the iframe, let me just copy this and paste this. So instead of img, this will be iframe. For the iframe, just add important, then important, then I will delete this too because it does not pertain to the iframe. If I save this, I come back here, you can see the height is adjusted now. The height is adjusted now because it is below 1200. But if I should shrink it further, I'll get into trouble at some point because I'm losing this worker and this is not what I want. So let me bring this back. um, so I'll go to the next media query where I have 767 pixel. So all I have to do for that one is just to change the column layout. For I made a mistake somewhere here. I cannot have 767 twice. This should be 480. Okay, this should be 480. So yes, it should be 480. Yes, it should be 480. Okay, so come back here then. For this other one, pre-footer, this pre-footer. So dot before footer, I'm going to be having grid template columns. So this grid template columns is going to be 1fr. Save it. So if I'm shrinking it down to 767, you can see now it is crossing 767. It is having a column layout. So this is looking very nice now, and I think that is all I need for this particular section. So we move on to the footer now. If you come here, so this is the footer over here. This is the footer over here. You can see the quick links, the home, about, whatever, Facebook, social media. Then you can see the connect with us and this copyright section. So let's go ahead to write the HTML first, then we'll start working on the CSS. So the footer, I like to use the footer is going to be having a section of a class rather of section, then a class of footer, then it's going to inside it's going to be having grid con it's going to be having a class of grid container. Okay, so now if you take a good look at this footer, now I'm having this container, this container, this container, this container. So I want to create a 4 column layout. For this 4 column layout, I'm going to be having 4 divs. So the first div, I can call that one logo text. For the second div, I can call that one quick links. So this one will be quick links. For the third one, I can have something like social media. Then for the fourth one, I can have something like subscribe. Now for the first one, which is logo text, I'm going to be having an img. So for this one, I'm going to be using my logo. Then this one can be main footer logo. So for the footer, we're also going to be having a paragraph. In this paragraph, I can do something like lorem 30. Lorem 30. So let me save what I have for now. If I save what I have for now, the black background will swallow it up. It won't be, you can see, unless I highlight it. Let me close this. So unless I highlight, yes, you can see it here. Unless I highlight it. So, but let me. I like to write all the HTML first before styling them. So for quick links, I'm going to be having an H2 where I'm going to be having quick links. Then I'm going to be having anchor links multiplied by 5. So for this one, then this is going to be home. Then this other one is going to be the hash. Then about. Then we have another hash. This one can be team. Then after team we can have blog. Then after blog we can have contacts. I won't be adding any links, so that will be for quick links. Then for social media, I can just copy all these ones and paste it in for social media. This one is going to be social media. Social media. So this first one is going to be Facebook. The next one, I want this to be Facebook. Then this is going to be Twitter. This is going to be Instagram. Twitter, Instagram. This is going to be LinkedIn. Then this last one is going to be YouTube. Okay. Then after that, for the subscribe, I'm going to be having. Let me paste this one first. Then for this one, I'm going to be having services. So after having services, let me just make this one service 1. Then this one service 2. Then I don't need all these ones. I don't need all these ones. Why not just bring in another H2 that says connect with us? Then for this H2 that says connect with us, I'm going to be having I think I have a form here. Yes, this form that says subscribe over here. So you can see the quick links to social media, the services, now connect with us. So I'm going to be needing a form. So this is supposed to be a post form also, but the action doesn't matter actually. So now I'm going to be having the input. This input is going to be of type email. So the name is going to be email. I like the ID to also be the name, which is going to be email as well. So, but I'm going to be having a placeholder. So this placeholder is going to be enter your email. Then I'll move on to add the input type submit. So this input type submit, the value is going to be subscribe. you subscribe. So save this, and yes, I have everything ready. Now I can start styling it. So come to main.css. This main.css go before the media queries. Okay, so this is going to be footer. So to style the footer, so one thing is that the first thing I want to do normally is to set the background. The first thing I want to do normally is to set the background, but this background over here is inheriting the black that I set for this one. For all these other ones, I had to set the background to be white, 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 white. So I have no reason to set the background for this one, since the content is going to be overshadowing the background in the first place. So, but for this one, I would have loved to set it to black, but it is already black, so I'll just leave that one out. So the what I'm going to be styling next is the grid container. So that will be dot footer, then the grid container dot the grid container. So this particular grid container now is going to be having a maximum width of 1200 pixels. Then the margin is going to be 0 auto as usual. The margin is going to be 0 auto as usual. Then I'm going to be having a padding top and bottom of 50 pixels. Then padding left and right is going to be 0. If I save what I have for now, come back here, you can see what I have. These are the social media links. These are the quick links. So let me come back and continue my work. So padding top and bottom is 50 pixels. Now to the main point. Display it as grid. Then use the 4 column layout. Grid template columns. Use the 4 column layout, which is basically one FR, one FR, one FR, then one FR. Just put in a gap of 20 pixels. The gap should be 20 pixels. So this gap of 20 pixels, save it. If I come back here, so you can see what I have for now. This is the footer logo. Then you can see all these other ones. Okay, so come back to my VS Code and we continue styling. So for each of the divs that I have over there, I want to give it, so for every div that I have, the divs are the containers basically, like this one, this one, this one, and the first one that is containing the logo and the text. So for all of them, give me a, let's just say a margin of 30 pixels. A margin of 30 pixels. So okay, you might not notice it, but actually that was changed. A margin of 30 pixels. So moving on with my margin of 30 pixels, for this particular logo, I don't like the way this logo is just shouting over here. It's becoming too big. So what I can do is to reduce the size of the logo by giving it a height. So this is supposed to be dot logo text. So I'm going to be giving it, okay, okay, I'm not supposed to have, okay, logo text. Then the descendant, that is an image, guess what, the height is going to be 100 pixels. Save. So you can see now that the image is controlled. Now to work on the paragraph, which is the text, you can see it is logo and text. So this other text over here, copy that and come here. This is going to be P. Then For this paragraph, I'm going to be having a margin top of 20 pixels. Then I can have color of white, which is basically FF and F. So I can have font size of 1 rem. Then text align justify. I want to justify it. So you can see what I have over here now. I feel like the text is too much. Let me reduce it a bit. I feel like the text is too much. Um, Let me take this out. This neko whatever. Okay, let me take this out also. So okay, I think I'm fine with this. I'm fine with this. So we move on. Let me start styling all these other links. Now I'm going to, since all these links they have similarities, if I come back here, you can see for this container and this other container, you can see that the h2, we have the h2, then we also have the link, all these links. So I have the luxury of styling everything together. How can I style everything together? You will see now. So let me start by copying the whole of this one. So I have the grid container, then I have the div, I also have the h2. So this is going to be, this div over here is targeting this and also this last one, this div. Now since it's targeting that one, so the h2 that is over here is going to be targeting this one, this h2 over here, and this h2 over here. So you see, um, so for the h2, the color is going to be fff. Then I can give it a font size of 1.5 rem. Then I can give it a maybe margin bottom of 10 pixels. If I save this and I go back to the document, you can see the quick links. You can see the quick links. The quick links. So let us work on the anchor link itself. The anchor link. So for the anchor link, I can copy this one. So this will be A. So for this anchor link now, don't forget the color is going to be FFF. Then I think we have done a lot of repetition of FFF here. This, this, this. Well, it will be assignment to rectify it. All you have to do is to look for a way to target this div, then put the FFF inside. So color FFF. Then the font size, I want to use something small, so 0.85 rem for the links. Then text decoration, obviously none. Text decoration none. Then I want it to display as block. By default, it will display inline, like what I'm having over here, displaying inline. But this one is displaying as block. It's occupying the whole line. But this one is displaying inline. But I want it to display as block. So display as block. Then after displaying as block, I want it to have a margin of maybe 15 pixels and 0. Yes, a margin of 15 pixels and 0. Then because of the hover state, I can give it a transition of 0.25 seconds. Then the transition will be ease. So let me save this. So you can see what I have now. You can see what I have now. Home, about, whatever, and all of them, they are working properly. I just didn't add any link to it. So but I want it to have a hover state. I want it to have a hover state. So So copy this one, come back here for the hover state, hover, then for the hover just give me the color of this beautiful color here. Yes, so if I should save this and I hover over any of the link, you can see if I hover over any of the link, you can see what it is giving me. Very beautiful. So let us now work on the form. This form over here, let us work on it. So if you take a good look at this form that I have, you will notice that I will type what I want to type here, and you can see the color of the placeholder. It is not the regular color of placeholders in HTML. You cannot compare that one with this one. You cannot compare that one with this one, the placeholder and the button also. So you can see it's almost the same button, but this one it has border radius. But the border radius is not throughout the button, it's just this and this. So let's work on the button now. So for the button, for the form rather, we are going to be having, I want to target the form first. So let me copy this one. Div then form. Okay, so I want the background color to be white, which is FFF. Save. So you can see that the background color is now white. You can see the background color is white. So I want you to give it a padding of 5 pixels. Save. You can see the padding that is coming around now. The padding that is coming around. A padding of 5 pixels. Then I want to give it a border radius. The border radius of 4 pixels. Save, and you can see the curved edges. You can see the curved edges. So let me start. Continue by styling the form inputs. The form inputs. So for this particular form input where you have enter your email, I don't want the border, I don't want the outline. So the first thing I want to do is border of 0, also outline of 0. So I've killed both of them. Then background color, I don't want anything, none. So basically I want it to inherit the background color of this container. So if I should save this, okay, I'm supposed to add input, then the type equal to email. Save. Okay, so you can see now it is working now. No border, no outline, no background color. What it is having is just the background of the container. Okay, so now let me increase the font size to 1 rem. So you can see that it have increased the font size now. So I also want to text align center. So you can see the text is aligned center now. Then I want the width to be 100%. Save. The width is 100%. If I remove this width of 100% now and I try to type anything, you understand? So by default self it is already width of 100%, but I think it is just safe for us to add it. So okay, I didn't save this. So now that I've saved it, now the width of 100% is, I've taken it out. I didn't save it initially. So you can see that the width is not 100%. You can see where this one is stopping and where this one is stopping. But if I add the width of 100% and I save it, you can see it is now to the edge, to the extreme. So the width of 100%, I want the padding top, the padding top to be 8 pixels. Also the padding bottom to be 8 pixels. Save it. So you can see the padding top and the padding bottom. It is affected now. Padding top and padding bottom. So now, apart from that one, I want us to style the placeholder. You can see this enter your email, that placeholder. I want to style it. How do you style it? You're going to be using a pseudo element. Now, I explained pseudo element in the CSS course. I said pseudo element is just like when you have an element that have multiple parts. For example, this input this input element that has the container itself and the placeholder, then the element itself. So the placeholder part is the only thing that I want to style now. So I'm going to be using the pseudo elements of placeholder. So this placeholder now, what do I want to do to it? I want the color to have this 1824. If I save this, you can see that the color of the placeholder have changed. I want the font weight to be bold. I want the font weight to be bold. Then I also want I think the text is aligned center already. So, but let me just take this out. Don't forget, don't repeat yourself. Very, very important. You don't repeat yourself. So that is for the placeholder. Now we want to work on the submit button. That submit button that is there. So let me just copy the whole of this one. But the input type is going to be submit. The input type is going to be submit. Okay. So for this submit button, I want the background color to be this F0350C, the beautiful color. So then I want the color of the text itself to be white. If I save this, you can see what I have at the moment. So the font size, I want it to be 1 rem. I think that is what it is by default. Okay, that is not what it is. So I want the width to be 100%. So span the whole, you can see the width is now 100%. So I don't want any border, so border is 0. Then the padding top and bottom, I want it to be 10 pixels. Padding top 10 pixels, padding bottom 10 pixels. Save it. You can see padding top and padding bottom 10 pixels. Now the remaining thing is just the border radius. So you can see that the border radius, normally I would say border radius 4 pixels, but the 4 pixels is going to span through the whole edges. But I want to target only some of the edges, which is just this two that is down. So the border radius, so for the top left I want it to be 0, for the top right 0, bottom right 4 pixels, then bottom left 4 pixels. Save this. You can see bottom right and bottom left. So that is that about that. Now we have to work on the media queries because we don't want it to be looking astray in the mobile view. So Ctrl Shift I. So this is what it will look like on mobile. This is not loading because of network, so my internet is quite bad, but we flow with it. So you can see the way it is loading. I don't like this. I don't like this. So if the screen is below 1200, I want to reduce the margin on the divs. I think it used to be 30 pixels. So this div over here, where's the div? Yes, this is 30 pixels, but when the screen is below 1200, I want to reduce it to 10 pixels. So this 1200, I want to reduce it. What do I want to do? I want to reduce it to, this should be footer. So this div margin 10 pixels. So if I should save this, it will give some sort of spacing to the element, so to give some kind of spacing to the element. So before the element crosses 767, I want to do some work on it. I want to change it to a 2 column layout instead of this 4 column layout. So come back here, this 767 now. So for the footer, for that footer, I want to have that grid container, which is dot footer, then select the grid container. So that grid container, I want the grid template columns to be one fr, then one fr, then the inner divs too. But since it's going to be a two template column, I want to increase the margin on it too. I want to increase it back to 30 pixels. So come back here. So for this div now, so margin 30 pixels. So save this. Okay, it's back to 30 pixels now. So okay, that will be then for the 480. For the 480, I want it to be a 1 column layout. For the 480 screens, I want it to be a 1 column layout. So come to the 480 side, then this should be footer. So for this footer now, I'm going to be doing dot footer, then select the grid container. So this grid container, the grid template columns, the grid template columns is going to be one fr, a 1 column layout. Then the gap is going to be 10 pixels. Then the text align is going to be center. That is what I want. So all the text is going to be aligned center from this grid container. So if I should shrink it down, okay, have I saved it? Yes, yes, yes. So the 480 screen, so you can see what it looks like on the 480 screen when it is below 480 pixels. So that is when it goes below a 480 screen. So and I want to take the margin back to 10 pixels for this one. Since it's a 1 column layout, I don't want the margin to be too much. So div, take it back to 10 pixels. Oh no, margin, take it back to 10 pixels. Then I take it back to 10 pixels and I shrink it. So now take a good look at this text over here, this text and this particular text here, this form. I don't like the way it is spanning through the screen. It's not looking very nice. So I'll select this one and this one, then I'll apply a styling to the two of them. So basically the styling I want to apply is just that the max width should be 300 pixels and the margin top and bottom should be 10 pixels. Then left and right will be auto. So come here, the grid container div, then the form div, then the form, but I think I have to use a group selector here. So the div, the grid container, this is going to be logo text, the logo text. Then inside that logo text I have a paragraph. Exactly, I have a paragraph. So for this paragraph now, for all of them I want the, so basically I'm selecting this one, this one and this one. So I want the max width to be 300 pixels, then the margin is going to be 10 pixels, then auto. Now save it. Come back, you can see what I have here. You can see what I have. So I'm being lazy, but let me text align center for this one. So the paragraph there, so the text can be aligned center. Text align center. So for this one, yes, you can see the way the text is aligned center, and it is looking way better now. It is looking way better now. So that is the footer for you for the mobile view. So if you try to expand it, if you try to shrink it, you can see we are not running into any kind of trouble yet. So even down to 261 pixels, we are safe. We are safe. So you can see what the site is going to look like on a 251 pixel screen. So okay, let's come back. So the only thing remaining is the footer now, just this footer over here. Just this footer over here. So the copyrights, come back. Let us write the, let me close this one. So for this copyright now, what do we want to do? Just section dot copyright. So for this copyright, let me just use at copyright Genius Ideas 2023. So if I should save this and I come here, you can see the text is lost because obviously, as you already know, the black is going to be swallowing it. The black is going to be swallowing it. So what can we do? We start styling it. So to style this one is a piece of cake. That will be before any media queries. Close all the media queries. Dot copyright. So this copyrights, I want the border top to be 1 pixels solid then fff. If I save this, you can see the border top. You can see the border top is coming up. So I want the color of the text itself to be fff. Save it. You can see the color of the text. So, and I want the font size of the text to be 1 rem. So that is it. Then I want the padding top and bottom to be 30 pixels. Padding top and bottom 30 pixels, left and right 0. So if I should scroll down, you can see it's now way bigger than it used to be. Then because I want to center this text inside this div, I want to center the color and the font size is going to affect the text. So basically the content. Now I want to center this text inside. I can use flexbox straight away. So display flex, then justify content to the center and also align items to the center. Save, and that is it. And align items to the center. So if I should try to collapse the screen and I keep collapsing it, you can see that it's not affecting my footer. It is not affecting my footer. So it is not affecting my footer. I think I want to text align the footer center, or I don't think there's a need for it. text align center. If I save this and I scroll, okay, I think there's a need for it so that when it goes mobile, it will just align to the center. So you can see that the web page that we are working on is responsive up to 262 pixel screens. So you can see the screen, the site over here. You can see the site. So I'm very sure that if we dig deeper, we might find an area where, okay, I think the button is the bone of contention. Well, that is the site. That is the site we've been working on, a mobile responsive one. So, well, the video has been very long, so thank you very much for staying till the end. I believe that by waiting up to this point, you have learned a lot from this video. Please leave us a comment, and don't forget to share the video. You can also like the video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, so that when we drop other tutorials like this one, you will get your notification. So thank you very much. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.